Hello and welcome back to Bookish and welcome back to Vlogmas Day 11, Tagmas Day 5. In all honesty, should be the last Vlogmas Tagmas video I made. I decided just to take advantage of the Vlogmas tradition and do 5 tags in a row every day this week, in part because I like doing tags, in part because so many nice people tag me, and in part because then I can get all my tags caught up on during this week. So today, Friday, should be the last Vlogmas Tagmas video you see from me. You know, next week, who knows what's going to happen. This tag is the Jolabokaflod PDX book tag. It's created by Margaret Pinnard by the channel of the same name, and she is hosting a Jolabokaflod, I'm saying that's terribly, book event for the Portland area, writers and readers, I think. I'll leave a link to her channel down below with this video where she makes that announcement, and I'm going to try to check in on some of the online stuff that she's doing. I believe they're having some writers panels discussions. Anyway, Jolabokaflod is an Icelandic tradition, I think that's right, in which the people of Iceland sometime during the Christmas time all exchange books with one another. This is because books on that island, which apparently doesn't have trees, were so rare that the idea of getting a book, or the books are relatively precious, and giving and getting books and being able to read books was a special event, and essentially you just gave people in your family and I guess friends books, and you sat around all together reading them, and what could be more charming or wonderful than that. Anyway, Margaret has created a number of prompts that go along with this theme and idea, and so I wanted to do that tag because I was tagged by Roz, I believe, of Scallydandling About The Books. She at least mentioned me in the video, so you know, me and tags, I'm going to say that means I'm tagged. So question number 1, the name. What is an unpronounceable or difficult to pronounce word that you love? That word right now would be Schadenfreude. That's my best German pronunciation of Schadenfreude, which essentially means taking pleasure at someone else's discomfort, unhappiness, or problems. And I have to admit, while this is an emotion that I try not to engage in because it's petty and it's pretty evil right now with politics as they are in the United States of America, I am struggling not to enjoy the suffering, pain of one politician in particular, and the more he writhes and flops and flails, the harder it is for me not to enjoy some Schadenfreude at his expense. Question 2, the tradition. What is a new to you tradition or retelling of one that you love? Okay, this is not what Margaret intended. She intended, I think, for us to talk about a tradition like Jolabokaflod, but I don't have one of those. So what I'm going to talk about instead are routines, because routines kind of become, are sort of related to tradition. I have retired recently, and I am still struggling to work out my retirement routine. You know, I have a time I wake up. That's thanks to the dogs. I have a list of things I want to do every day. I accomplish some of them, but I haven't necessarily come up with a set routine, with one exception. I do the dishes every single day. This has become a routine. It's like a tradition for me, and believe it or not, it's something that I enjoy. I don't really enjoy doing the dishes, but I do get a tremendous amount of satisfaction from cleaning the kitchen countertops. If you've ever watched House Hunters, you know that most American homes apparently now have marble countertops, you know, granite countertops, not marble, have granite countertops. My house came with those when we bought it some time ago. And I have developed kind of a ritual, I would say, for cleaning the countertops, which involves, you know, incredibly hot water, wiping them down, incredibly hot water, antibacterial soap, incredibly hot water to rinse them off, and then drying them with a dish towel, which probably takes longer. It probably is the longest part of the dishwashing that I have to do, or the cleaning up of the kitchen I have to do. And that's become a fairly important routine, little ritual I do during the day that, you know, kind of in a weird way makes me feel better. So that's not exactly what she meant by tradition, but, you know, there you go. Question 3, the adaptation. What is an adaptation of something you love that was made even better or equal? Okay, so I love mysteries, and because of my mom, I grew up in PBS here, public broadcasting here in the United States. I grew up watching the PBS program Mystery, in which they do all kinds of mysteries. Most of them were filmed, were European authors' mysteries, and most of them were filmed in England or by English production companies. And because of that love, I stumbled upon the work of Henning Mankell. He is a Swedish crime mystery writer, and I first watched adaptations of his work on television, starring Kenneth Branagh, and I believe they are shot in Sweden. And they're very atmospheric, as are the novels. And so I hadn't read one of Henning Mankell's novels. I'd actually seen all the episodes of the show first, but this year, yes, I read the first Inspector Wallander novel called Faceless Killers. I've also seen the television adaptation of this particular book in the Wallander series, and I thought they were both great. So I'm going to say they're equal. That in this case, the television adaptation of the Wallander mystery series is equal to the books. So, or at least this one book. So there you go. That's my adaptation. It's equal to or better than. Question 4 is the mood. What is the coziest book you've read or expect to read this winter? I just started reading, and if you watch my channel, you probably already know this. I just started reading The Old Man and the Sand Eel, My Granddad Fishing, My Quest to Find Britain's Lost Waterways. You know that I like to fish. You know that fishing was kind of something that I was sort of have been obsessed with off and on during my life. I realize it's kind of cliched, old man or men in the United States and fishing. I promise not to bother you with pictures of me holding up fish that I've caught, but fishing has been kind of a lifelong thing for me, which I learned to do from my grandfathers. And so this book feels really cozy because it reminds me of fishing, which I love to do, and I consider to be kind of a cozy activity, believe it or not, and it reminds me of my grandfathers. Question number 5, the discovery. Who is a new author you've discovered this year and that you love? These would be new to me authors. I have 2 here. To avoid using one of the same books twice, which will come up. I have 2 here. First is Olga Tokarczuk. I read Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead in January, and I thought it was great. Please hush. It's okay. Nothing bad is happening. Zelda won't eat her breakfast this morning, and it's got Ike really upset. But every time I put Zelda's breakfast down for her to try to tempt her into eating it, Ike starts eating her breakfast. And Ike's already had his breakfast, and he doesn't need to eat a Great Dane-sized second breakfast. So he's crying about that. Anyway, so Olga Tokarczuk would be a new author to me that I really liked. And then also, I would say, Imuna Ilan. I read House on Endless Waters as a buddy read with Britta Bowler, and I really liked this book. And I think I would really like her work. And given time and memory, I will look up more of her books and try to read them. Prompt number 6, question number 6, the setting. What is the deepest, darkest setting you've read about? Okay, I'm going to go with the setting of Minor Detail by Adanya Shibli. This book contains essentially 2 parallel stories about Arab women being caught up in and becoming victims of violence during the trouble between Israel and its neighbors. The first story is set in an Israeli military camp during, I believe, the war for Israel's independence. After Israel declared its independence, was attacked by all its neighbors. It's the first part of the story. The first one of the stories is set there. The second story is set more in modern day Israel, where a Palestinian woman is researching essentially some of the events that happened with the first story, and she gets caught up in a very similar parallel story. It's a dark story without any kind of happy ending. And even though the physical setting is essentially in fairly arid desert-like land, the emotional setting and the international setting is really dark. And I read that book this year, and I think that qualifies as one of at least the darkest, deepest settings I've read about. Question 7 is The Hot Cocoa. What is a book that comforted you during a long night, literal or metaphorical? Hey, is anybody surprised I'm talking about Littered and Hungry Paul? I hope not. Littered and Hungry Paul by Ronan Hessian. I think this is the most mentioned book on my channel ever. This book, which I found just delightful and joy-inspiring. I read this in March of this year, just as the reality of the pandemic was really setting in. And it really did provide me with comfort and an idea that, perhaps there was light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't know then how far away that light might be. And then, let's see, question 8. The gift, what is an indie book you'll be giving this winter season? I'm going to give my mom a copy of An Heir to Murder by Booktubes' own Charles Heathcote. I read this book this year, and kind of like Hessian's Littered and Hungry Paul, An Heir to Murder was exactly kind of the right kind of read, just as a comforting read, as something that was just enjoyable entertainment. It is a cozy mystery. Like I told you at the beginning of the video, my mom really loves mysteries, and so I thought I would give her this as a birthday gift. This year, and her birthday is on December the 16th. So there you go. That's the gift I'll giving. And then I think we're supposed to tag people, and there is kind of a time deadline with this. I believe that the Jolabokaflod PDX event that Margaret is a part of and hosting begins on the 18th, which as of today is only a week away. So since there's a time period, since there's essentially an expiration date on when these videos, I guess, are supposed to be done, I'm not going to tag anybody specifically. If you see this tag on my channel or on other channels like Steve Donoghue, Marc Nash, obviously Margaret, and Roz of Scallydandling About The Books, James Holder, I believe, did a copy of this. If you see this tag, please feel free to do it. It's kind of a fun tag, and I think I love the idea of this tradition of giving books and sitting around one night reading them, and that being kind of like a cultural tradition. Anyway, there you go. There's my version of the Jolabokaflod. I think I've said that different every single time. PDX book tag. Thanks to Margaret for creating it. Thanks to Roz for perhaps tagging me in her video. Look forward to your comments in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.